This is the route that we took through Denmark. This is Denmark. So we took the ferry from Iceland that came into this town of Hanstholm, and our friend David from Winnipeg, he flew into Copenhagen and then cycled over to meet us in Hanstholm. He was there a day after our ferry came in, and we met at this little campground. Then we went down this coast. There's lots of dunes and lots of bunkers from World War II. Then we came down, we stayed at this little place, Stenbjerg, and we came down here, across, and we stayed somewhere around here. It wasn't really labeled as a so-called free camping that we ended up having to pay for. Then we came around the bend, and then in Lemvig, we found out where we could find some free camping, which was out in this little sort of peninsula here with shelters, and it was really lovely. And Benoit in the town got a bicycle tire, and it was a good thing because not too far away in Fering he got a flat and had to replace it. Then we kept going down the western coast. There's dunes all along the sides, so you don't get a direct view of the ocean, but you can climb up and over and then look at the sea. And we kept going. Where else did we stay? Oh, we stayed in Bovbjerg. And then we kept going down here. We stayed in kind of a crowded campground in Nora Lundvig. Kept going down here around to the town of Skjern, where we found a nice little campground where most stuff was included, and we stayed there 2 nights. Then we kept going until we got to this little town of Glusted, where we were invited to stay on the lawn of a Danish couple, Hans and Birgitta, and that was really amazing. Then we went up to this sort of hilly part, and we went in search of the hilliest part of Denmark, or one of the hilliest parts, called Himmelbjerget. We got lost in a park around here, and then because we were lost, we sort of were running short of time, and we had to stay at this town of Rue, and there was a really crowded, really crowded campground that depressed us. And anyway, so then we kept going the next day to Aarhus, where we stayed in a hostel, and then after there we continued along the coast to where we could pick up this ferry, and not too far from the ferry terminal was some very cheap camping in a farmer's field. And the next morning we just barely made it for the ferry, arriving at 9:57 in the ferry terminal, and the ferry left at 10 o'clock. It was a very quick ferry at 45 minutes across. Then we went down, stayed 1 night in Holbæk, and then across and up to Smørum, which is somewhere around here, where we stayed with Benoit's family friend Emilie and her husband Roy and their son, 5-year-old son Matteo. And then we stayed 1 night, me, Benoit, and David. Then David had to leave the next day to return to Canada. We went into Copenhagen, or København, for a day with David, his last night, and visited the Christiania, sorry. Then we went back to Smørum. David packed up and he rode to the airport, which is about here. Benoit and I stayed another night then in Smørum, and then we went over to Charlottenlund to visit Keith and Bente, and stayed 1 night there. And then we continued down back into the city where we donated our bikes. Then we grabbed the metro to the airport, and from the airport we took a plane to Lyon, somewhere down here in France.